The captive in chains. The cell was dark, cold, and silent except for the sound of chains scraping against stone. In the middle of that dungeon sat a human prisoner. His wrists were bound by heavy cuffs, his ankles locked with iron, and a thick collar pressed against his neck. His clothes were torn, his body thin, and his lips dry from thirst. He had been here for days, maybe weeks. Time no longer made sense. The alien guards laughed when they passed by his cell. To them, humans were weak creatures, nothing more than tools to be used or broken. Some called him meat, others worthless animal. Still, the human refused to bow his head. Even in pain, his eyes carried a spark, a silent fire that refused to die. The dungeon smelled of blood and rust. Torches burned faintly on the walls, and water dripped from cracks above. The prisoner breathed slowly, fighting the weight of exhaustion. His arms ached and his back burned with scars, yet he stayed alive. For him, survival itself was rebellion. Then one night something unusual happened. The guards, normally loud and mocking, suddenly grew quiet. They stood straighter, their hands trembling. A voice whispered through the corridor, "She is coming." The prisoner lifted his head, his weak eyes narrowing. Who was she? Why would even the cruel guards look nervous? Moments later, the heavy metal doors opened with a grinding sound. From the shadows emerged a tall figure cloaked in black and crimson. The air itself seemed to grow colder around her. The guards lowered their heads immediately, bowing in fear and respect. It was the alien vampire queen. Her steps were slow but powerful, each echoing through the dungeon like a drumbeat. Her eyes glowed faintly red, sharp enough to pierce through darkness. She carried herself like a ruler of life and death, and to her, every prisoner was nothing but prey. The human's breath caught in his chest. He had heard stories of her, a queen who fed on blood, who commanded armies, who destroyed worlds. To meet her face to face was to stand before death itself. The queen stopped in front of his cell. Her gaze fell upon him, and for a moment silence swallowed the dungeon. The guards expected her to dismiss him, or maybe order his execution. But she did not speak. Instead, she stepped closer, her eyes fixed on the dried blood across his arm. A shallow wound from the guard's cruelty had left his skin open. A single drop still shined faintly in the dim torchlight. The queen's eyes narrowed. Her lips parted, but no words came. Slowly, almost against her will, she extended her pale hand toward the iron bars. The guards looked at each other, confused, but none dared to stop her. The prisoner tried to pull back, his chains rattling, but he had no strength left. Her hand touched the wound lightly. A shiver passed through her fingers. Then, without hesitation, she lifted her hand to her lips and tasted the blood. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, her body trembled. Her chest rose sharply, her fingers clenched, and her glowing eyes widened in shock. The mighty queen, feared by millions, seemed shaken by something so small. A single drop of human blood. Her voice broke the silence, soft and uncertain, a whisper almost too quiet to hear. "Is it really you?" The guards froze. They had never heard their queen speak like that, gentle, trembling, almost afraid. The human stared at her, confused. His lips parted, but no sound came. He did not understand. Why would his blood make the queen of vampires tremble? Why would she speak as if she knew him? The queen stepped back, her hands shaking. She looked at him as though he carried a secret older than empires, something impossible yet undeniable. The prisoner's chains rattled again as he shifted, his weak voice finally breaking the silence. "What do you mean?" he asked, his tone dry and faint. But the queen did not answer. Her eyes burned with questions she could not ask, memories she could not share. For the first time in centuries, fear flickered across her face, not fear of danger, but fear of recognition. The guards waited for her command. They expected her to say, "Kill him," or "Feed him to the fire." But instead she whispered something else. "Leave him." "No one touches this human." The guards bowed instantly. "Yes, my queen." The heavy doors closed again, leaving only the human and the echo of her trembling words. The prisoner leaned back against the cold wall, his heart pounding faster than ever before. He did not know what had just happened. He did not know why the alien vampire queen, a being of nightmares, would shake at the taste of his blood. But one thing was certain. Something had changed, and deep inside, he felt it too. The dungeon remained silent long after the queen left. The human prisoner sat in chains, his heart still racing. He kept hearing her words echo in his mind. Is it really you? Why would she say such a thing? He had never seen her before, never stepped foot in this alien empire until the day he was captured, yet her voice had carried recognition, almost longing. Hours passed. The torches dimmed, then flared again as guards made their rounds. But none of them dared to touch him now. They whispered among themselves instead, throwing fearful glances at his cell. She protected him, one guard muttered. The Queen never protects humans, another hissed. Then why him? The prisoner tried to ignore their voices, but inside his curiosity burned. He was nothing special, or at least that was what he had always believed. Then once again the heavy doors opened. The guards stiffened, lowering their heads as the Queen entered. Her presence carried the same cold authority, yet something was different. Her movements were slower, her expression tense as though she was fighting a war inside her own mind. This time she came alone. The chains rattled as the prisoner tried to sit straighter. His body ached, but his spirit would not allow him to appear weak before her. The Queen stopped before his cell again. For a long time she simply stared at him through the bars. Her glowing eyes searched his face, his scars, and finally, the wound on his arm. Without a word, she opened the cell herself. The metal screeched as the door swung wide. The guards outside gasped but said nothing. None would dare question her. She stepped inside, her dark cloak brushing against the stone floor. The air around her grew colder, heavier. The prisoner swallowed hard, but he refused to show fear. You don't even know what you carry, she said at last. Her voice calm but edged with something deeper, sadness, maybe even pain. What do you mean? His voice was hoarse but steady. Instead of answering, she knelt down beside him. Her pale hand reached out once more, this time with no hesitation. She touched the wound on his arm, her fingers cold against his skin. The human winced but did not pull away. Then, slowly, she brought her hand to her lips again. The taste of his blood struck her harder this time. Her entire body shuddered, her crimson eyes flaring with ancient fire. Memories poured into her mind. Flashes of a battlefield, a human warrior standing at her side, his sword blazing with light. His voice shouting her name, his sacrifice to protect her from death. Her lips parted. No, this cannot be. He died long ago. The prisoner's eyes widened. He had no idea what she was speaking of, yet her trembling form filled him with unease. You, she whispered, her voice breaking. You carry the same blood, the same fire. The prisoner frowned. I don't understand. I'm just a man. A prisoner. Her gaze snapped to him, sharp and desperate. No, you are more. Your blood does not lie. He shook his head, confusion flooding his mind. Why me? What do you see in me? She leaned closer, her red eyes locking onto his. For the first time he noticed something within them. Not just hunger, not just cruelty, but fear. You should not exist, she whispered. And yet, here you are. The guards outside shifted nervously, glancing at each other. They had never seen their queen behave this way. Some whispered that she had lost her mind. Others believed the human had cursed her. The queen stood, her cloak swirling around her. She turned to the guards. If any of you touch him, her voice thundered, I will tear your hearts out myself. The guards bowed low, trembling. She looked back at the prisoner one last time. Rest. Your time will come soon. Then she left, the door slamming shut behind her. The prisoner leaned against the wall, his mind spinning. He could still feel her cold touch on his skin, still hear the tremor in her voice. Who was this warrior she mistook him for? Why would his blood, ordinary to him, shake the most powerful being in the empire? As he sat in the dark, one thing became clear. His blood was not ordinary. It was a key. To what he did not know. But the queen knew, and she was afraid. The dungeon felt different after that night. The guards no longer mocked the human. They no longer spat insults or kicked at his chains. Instead, they kept their distance, whispering when they thought he could not hear. The queen protects him, one muttered. She fears him, another corrected. No, a third said, lowering his voice. She knows him. The human listened silently, his mind turning with questions he could not answer. Why had she trembled at his blood? Why had she spoken as if she recognized him? He was nobody, a soldier once, then a prisoner of war, and yet... Something in her eyes had burned with memory. Days passed, but the queen returned. Not with guards this time, not with her usual cold authority, but alone. The dungeon doors opened quietly and her dark figure stepped inside, moving with a strange hesitation. The prisoner sat straighter, his chains clinking. "You again," he said, his voice dry. She stopped before him, her red eyes glowing softly. For a long moment she said nothing. Then almost reluctantly she spoke. "Do you dream, human?" The question startled him. "Dream? Here?" He shook his head. "I don't even sleep." Her gaze sharpened. "Then why do I see him in you?" "See who?" he demanded. Her voice softened, almost breaking. "The one who stood beside me long ago. A warrior, a human. He fought when all others fled. He bled when no one else dared. His courage, his fire, saved me." The prisoner frowned. "And what happened to him?" "He died," she whispered. Her voice trembled with something rare, grief. "He gave his life for me on the battlefield. I watched his blood fall on the soil. I watched him burn in the flames. I buried him myself. And yet," she stepped closer, her pale fingers brushing against his chained arm, "your blood carries his fire, his spirit, his bond with me." The human pulled back, chains rattling. "That's impossible." "You're mistaken." Her eyes flared. "I do not mistake blood, human. I taste truth. And your blood is the same, centuries apart but the same." He shook his head, fear creeping into his chest. "Then what does that mean?" The queen's lips trembled before she spoke. "It means you are his shadow, his echo. Perhaps his rebirth." Silence fell. The prisoner could barely breathe. Rebirth, reincarnation, those were myths. Stories told around dying fires, not reality. And yet, the way she looked at him, the way she shook when she tasted his blood, it was real to her. Before he could speak, the dungeon erupted with noise. The door slammed open and alien nobles stormed in, their armor shining with authority. "My queen," one hissed, bowing sharply. "This human is a danger. His presence corrupts you. He must be executed." Another noble stepped forward. "The council already speaks against you. Protecting a prisoner will be seen as weakness. End him now and prove your strength." The guards froze, waiting for her command. The prisoner's heart pounded. He had no weapon, no chance to fight. His life depended on her next words. The queen's eyes narrowed. Her aura flared like fire, filling the dungeon with crushing power. The noble staggered back, choking under her presence. "Do you command me?" she hissed, her voice sharp as a blade. "I am the Queen of Shadows. I bow to none." Her cloak whipped in the air as she stepped between the prisoner and the nobles. "This human does not die," she declared. "Not by your hands. Not by mine." The nobles glared, but none dared defy her openly. Yet their eyes burned with silent rebellion. One muttered, "Then your throne will tremble, my queen. The council will not forgive this." They retreated, but the threat lingered in the air like poison. The queen turned back to the prisoner. Her hand brushed his cheek lightly, almost tenderly, though her expression carried sorrow. "They will come for you," she warned, "and when they do, even I may not be able to stop them." The human met her gaze, his voice steady despite his fear. "Then tell me, why? Why risk everything for me?" Her eyes softened, glowing with pain and longing. "Because," she whispered, her voice trembling, "long ago he called me by name, and when I taste your blood I hear his voice again." She turned and vanished into the shadows, leaving the human alone with a truth more dangerous than chains. The prisoner leaned against the cold wall, his heart racing. For the first time he felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him. He was no longer just a prisoner. He was a link to something ancient, something powerful, something the Empire itself might fear. And somewhere in the silence he wondered, if I am his echo, what happens when the past returns to life? The dungeon no longer felt like a place of silence. Since the Queen's visits, the air itself seemed alive with whispers. Guards avoided his cell. Nobles spoke in hushed tones, plotting in corners of the palace. And the prisoner felt eyes on him, even in the dead of night. The Queen's defiance had shaken the Empire. Word spread like fire. The Vampire Queen protects a human. To some it was madness. To others, weakness. And to her enemies, it was the perfect chance to strike. The council's shadow far above the dungeons, the alien High Council gathered in secret. They were powerful lords, old and cunning, their veins filled with ancient blood. This human must be destroyed, one hissed. He poisons her mind, another growled. She is already weak. The Empire stirs with doubt. If she will not kill him, then we must. A final voice, deeper than the rest, spoke with calm malice. Then let us arrange an accident. A blade in the dark. A death no one will question. And so the order was given, the awakening. Meanwhile, in his cell, the human felt different. His body ached less. His breathing grew stronger. Wounds that once burned now closed faster than they should. At night, when he closed his eyes, visions came. Flashes of battles he had never fought, the clash of steel, the cries of soldiers, and always, always, the sight of her. The queen standing in blood and fire, reaching for him. He would wake with sweat on his skin, his heart pounding, and though he told himself they were only dreams, a strange power stirred within his veins, humming like a hidden flame. The assassins arrive. It happened deep in the night. The dungeon doors creaked open, but no guards announced the visitor. Instead, shadows slipped through the corridors, 3 figures cloaked in black. They moved silently, blades glinting faintly in the torchlight. The prisoner's eyes snapped open. Even before they reached him, he felt them, an icy rush through his blood, a warning his body should not have known. One assassin raised a dagger, aiming for his throat. But before the blade could strike, a roar of energy burst inside him. His chains rattled violently, glowing faintly as if reacting to the fire within his blood. The sudden shock sent the assassin stumbling back. The prisoner gasped, clutching his chest. He had no weapon, no strength, yet something inside him had pushed back. The assassins recovered quickly. "Kill him before she knows." One hissed. They charged again. The queen's wrath before their blades could fall. The air froze. From the darkness at the far end of the dungeon, a cold voice thundered, "Touch him, and die." The vampire queen emerged, her eyes burning like crimson suns. With a sweep of her hand, shadows rose from the walls, curling like serpents. The assassins screamed as black tendrils wrapped around their throats, lifting them from the ground. "You dare," she hissed, her voice trembling with fury, "to defy me in my own domain?" The assassins clawed for air, their daggers clattering to the floor. With a sharp motion, the shadows crushed them, leaving only silence and the stink of fear. The queen turned to the prisoner. He sat frozen, his chain still glowing faintly, his chest heaving with confusion. She noticed it immediately. Her eyes narrowed. "Your blood. It is awakening." The human shook his head, his voice cracking. "What's happening to me?" Her lips pressed tightly. For once she seemed uncertain. "The fire of the past is not gone. It sleeps in you, and now it begins to rise." The dangerous Bond footsteps echoed from above. The nobles had surely felt her outburst of power. Time was short. The queen knelt before him, her cloak spreading across the stone floor. She placed her hand on his chest, her touch cold but steady. "Listen to me," she whispered, her voice sharp with urgency. "The council fears you. They will not stop until you are ash and dust. But if your blood continues to awaken, not even they will be able to kill you." The prisoner stared at her, trembling. "Why me? Why now?" Her red eyes softened, glowing with sorrow. "Because destiny does not die, human. It only waits. And your blood carries a destiny older than this empire itself." The chains around his wrists pulsed faintly with light, as if agreeing with her words. The queen rose, her cloak swirling like wings of shadow. "Rest while you can. The storm has already begun." She turned, her figure vanishing into the darkness, leaving the human to wonder if he was still a prisoner, or something far more dangerous. The dungeon no longer felt like a cage. The human sat in chains, but deep inside something had changed. His wounds healed faster than before. His body felt stronger. At night, visions still haunted him. Flashes of war, of fire, of the queen standing in blood. And every time he woke, his chest burned with the same question. Who am I really? The council's strike, the High Council, could wait no longer. The failed assassination had enraged them. "This human is a curse," one noble spat. "He corrupts the queen with weakness," another hissed. "If she will not kill him, then we shall destroy them both." They gathered their armies. Shadows spread through the palace. For the first time in centuries, the throne itself trembled with rebellion. The queen's confession. The queen came to the dungeon again, but this time her cloak was torn, her face shadowed with exhaustion. "They move against us," she said quietly. "The council rises. Soon even my throne may fall." The prisoner lifted his head. "And me? What do they want from me?" Her crimson eyes locked on his. "Your death. Because you are not just a man. You are the echo of the warrior who once defied them. The fire in your blood is the one thing they fear. And if it awakens fully, you may even surpass me." The word struck him like a blade. Surpass her? He was just a broken prisoner, yet she spoke of him as if he carried the power to shatter empires. He shook his head. "I don't believe it." Her cold hand cupped his face, forcing him to look at her. "Believe it. I can taste the truth in your blood. You are his shadow, and his destiny now belongs to you." The prison broke suddenly. The dungeon doors exploded inward. Fire lit the corridor as armored nobles stormed in, leading soldiers armed with spears that glowed with deadly light. "End this madness," one shouted. "Kill the human! Kill the traitor queen if she resists!" The guards panicked, backing away as the council soldiers flooded the hall. The queen's cloak spread wide like wings of darkness. Shadows rose from the floor, writhing like serpents. Her voice thundered, "No one touches him!" The soldiers clashed with her power, the dungeon shaking as shadow met light. Stone cracked, chains rattled, and the air filled with the stench of burning metal. The prisoner could only watch, his heart pounding, until something snapped inside him. His chains glowed brighter than ever before. Heat surged through his veins, fire racing under his skin. He screamed, not in pain but in release. The awakening. The chains shattered. Broken iron scattered across the floor as the prisoner rose to his feet. His body glowed faintly, his eyes burning with light he did not understand. Strength filled his limbs, and for the first time he felt whole. The council's soldiers stopped, fear flashing across their faces. "What is this?" one shouted. "He carries the fire!" another gasped. The queen turned to him, her expression unreadable. "It begins." The prisoner looked at his hands, trembling. What am I?" Her voice softened, heavy with truth. "You are the one I thought lost forever. Not just his echo. His blood. His spirit. His destiny reborn." The council soldiers roared and charged again, desperate to strike him down before his power grew further. But this time, he did not cower. He moved faster than he thought possible, breaking a spear with his bare hands, shoving a soldier back with strength that shook stone. The visions in his dreams no longer felt like lies. They felt like memories. His body remembered battles he had never fought, and the queen watched, her lips trembling with a whisper. "It truly is you." The cliffhanger, the nobles realized too late what they had awakened. "Kill him now," they screamed, but the queen's shadow swirled, shielding him. The human stood tall, chains broken at his feet, fire burning in his blood. The council retreated, their voices echoing in fury. "This is not over. The empire will not bow to a human." Silence returned, broken only by the prisoner's heavy breathing. He looked at the queen, his voice unsteady. "You protected me." "But why?" Her eyes glowed, sorrow and hope burning together. "Because, human, you are not just my prisoner. You are my destiny." Before he could answer, the ground trembled. A deeper power stirred, an ancient force far greater than soldiers or councils. A storm that had waited for centuries, and in that moment he realized his blood was not just his own. It was the key to a war that was only beginning.